Today's episode is brought to you by Real Estate Radio Experts. Real Estate Radio Experts helps you get on the radio, and I'm talking terrestrial AM, FM, get in your car radio, and we buy you spots. Now, these spots, when we write the copy, we find the right station, we write the copy, we manage the campaign, all that stuff. It's a turnkey, full-service solution. Our clients are having success right out of the gate. I gotta ask you, why aren't you? You're spending money on places like, I don't even want to even say some vendors. I don't want to get in trouble, but you're spending money on places that they're not converting. You know, people are buying online leads that are low quality leads, long sales cycle, and they're not properly mixing their funnel with short-term, high quality leads, right? I know you guys rely on referrals for that, but you know what? How about you get on the radio and let the local on-air talent tell the community that you're in how awesome you are, that you will sell their house for top dollar in 30 days, or you get paid nothing. So anyhow, it is working. What I'd love you to do, if you're interested in leveling up, go to realestateradioexperts.com, hit the getting started sheet, fill it out, let me know kind of what you look like in terms of your business, where you want to get to, and let's see if you're a good fit. All right. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah! Let's go! Yeah! For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
Today's guest, I'm really excited to talk about. Now, this person is in Boise, Idaho, which is a relatively small market. She has a team of 20. She's putting up numbers, man. Last year, 316 transactions for $92 million. Average sales price is about $350-ish. I'm thrilled to welcome Lysi Bishop. Lysi, thanks for taking the time out today.
Thank you, Toby.
Now, I know, Lysi, this is not your thing. You're not, you don't like having the spotlight on you. So I appreciate you getting out of your comfort zone and coming on and talking with us a little bit. But, you know, maybe take a minute, tell us a little bit about you. We want to get to know who you are. And then we'll talk about how you built your business to such great size.
All right, we'll do. Well, as you mentioned, I'm in Boise, Idaho. I've been doing real estate for about 20 years here. My husband and I work together as a part of the team. I'm the lead listing agent now, the way our team is set up, and he's the managing partner. So he takes care of all of the HR side, all of the planning numbers, et cetera. We've had a lot of growth since coming over to, am I allowed to tell you the brokerage that I'm with?
Oh, of course, yeah, no problems.
Okay. So we came from a small boutique brokerage in Boise, Idaho, and we came over to Keller Williams about 4 years ago and have had a lot of growth and change, lots of learning experiences through building a team.
I'll tell you, we can talk about it afterwards, but I know we probably know a ton of people in common. I know a bunch of the top KW people. So what did you do? Is this the only thing you've ever done, Lysi? You've been doing this for 20 years, but what did you do before that, if anything?
Retail is my background. So through high school and college, I always worked retail and really thought I would probably do something in real estate, but more along the lines of perhaps back then we called it fixing up homes and selling them, which we call flipping now. So really didn't aspire to be a realtor. I was raised by a realtor, single mom who was a very hard worker and did real estate through 70s, 80s as I was growing up. And I thought, boy, I don't want to do that. She's always on the phone.
Right, yeah.
But I'm here now.
8 o'clock at night, trying to do deals in Boise. So did you grow up in Boise?
I grew up in Sun Valley, Idaho. It's a ski resort not too far from Boise.
Yeah. And what brought you to Boise? Was it right after high school?
No, I went to school, so having grown up in Sun Valley, Ketchum area, it's a small resort town. So I wanted to go to a larger area for school, went to school in San Diego and then in Washington, and had worked through high school and then through college and beyond for a retail company that was in Hawaii. So when my husband and I moved to Hawaii, got married there, had our first child there, and realized that we needed to probably live somewhere else that affordability was a bit easier. So we came to Boise, Idaho, just really because it had so much opportunity at the time. Our daughter was born in 1993, so we moved back here in 1993 with the intention of raising a family. And at the time, my husband was going to go into, he was still in school, and he was going to be a stockbroker. And we thought, it'll be a great place for us to start careers.
Now, you went to school I'm in San Diego. I went to UCSD. Did you go to school here?
I went to State,
okay. And
then my kids both go to USD right now.
Oh, wow.
So we missed UCSD, but I have two kids right now at University of San Diego.
How funny. That's a great campus. It is expensive.
It's gorgeous. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Okay, so part of, did you get into? So you guys had a baby. You're a little family now. Was part of you moving from Hawaii to Boise? Were you very family oriented? Did you want to be a stay at home mom? And did any of that drive your decision to get into real estate?
Actually, no. My background was I was probably never going to get married, never going to have children. I worked full time through high school, very, very driven. I was probably the last person anyone thought would get married and have kids at such a young age. I was, I think, 22 when I got married, 23 when I had my first baby, and 24 when I had my second. So
oh, wow.
I never thought I would slow down to not work. So the company that I was working for in Hawaii, I'd started working for, I think, when I was 14. They had one little store in Sun Valley, and as they grew, I helped them grow, managed some of their stores, again, at a really young age, and then was a regional manager as they grew to about 12 stores throughout the islands. So I was sales and management and growth were just part of what I was learning as I was growing with the company. So when our daughter was born and we realized that we likely couldn't raise her in Hawaii, and we looked around, I really did think, boy, well, I'll do real estate. I'd seen my mom, in addition to selling houses, being able to fix them up and sell them. So that was a direction I thought that I would do, but I never thought I wouldn't work. Baby number one was very colicky, and I ended up staying home with her for about 9 months, and then turned to real estate because I didn't have the resources, turned to real estate sales. I didn't have the resources to buy houses, fix them up, and sell them. I needed to somehow help support the family and make a living doing so I could save up enough money to flip houses as we know it today.
Got it.
So went into real estate, was young and pregnant, so was patted on the shoulder. I was this cute young thing with a big belly. So I had to learn. I was very, very focused, very driven. So I had to learn quickly how to be taken seriously, which meant I needed to be very knowledge-based, which I was naturally anyway. So for me, I got out. I learned the inventory. I learned the market, and did well in those standards. In those days, we didn't have MLS was still put out in real estate books.
Yeah.
So we had one shared computer with a dot matrix printer for the entire office.
Oh, my God.
It was definitely a different day and time. So for what we could accomplish in those days, I did very well, even as a young girl, but had to learn how to really perform in order to gain the client's trust.
Yeah.
And what I learned about that was that I loved serving the clients and loved learning about things and really performing at the highest level. I learned at that point, I think I had more of a passion for that than the idea of let me fix houses and flip them. So that's when I realized it was going to be my career to come for many years.
Got it. So, going back to, you're young and you're pregnant and you felt like do you believe today, Lysi, 20 years later, do you believe that it was true, the thoughts that you had, meaning that you were young and you felt like these people are not taking me seriously? Because
yes,
you think it's true?
I do believe so.
Okay.
I think it's easier now for younger people to get in the business. At the time, there were not very many young people in the business, number one. And number two, I very much believe so. But back then, we had books like Dress for Success and what have you, and I would wear my glasses rather than my contacts. I'd wear a suit, and you did all the little things that you needed to help overcome that. And you always have little objections to overcome. We just had to learn how to work around it.
So what? Okay, so you have this this thing that you have to overcome, which is being young and attractive and pregnant, and people are not taking you seriously. You still have to go out and meet people. What are some of the marketing things that you did early to get your name and message in front of people, and will that work for people today?
I think it still really does. I follow most of the same models. Back then, I didn't know anybody in town, so I ended up doing floor time. I don't know that you get floor time as readily anymore, so I waited for the phone calls and I did open houses. So didn't do cold calls, wasn't comfortable with that yet, but I did open houses every weekend and took every ounce of floor time I could.
Yeah.
So there weren't large numbers to convert, but my conversion rate and my follow-up was so strong that once I was able to help that first client, they generally had referrals for me. So each first client was huge for me and ended up getting many referrals from that. So I think the same principles we use today.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, if you're out there, you don't have a list, you don't know anybody. I mean, people still do floor time, by the way, but open houses. If you do them right, I mean, look, today, there's something else I want to ask you, but I want to get into. Sorry. I gotta be a little bit slower, Lysi. Well, I have so much in my head. So. If somebody's going to go and follow your model and they're going to say, hey, I'm going to hold an open house, what is the process that you would suggest that they do?
Okay. So back then what I did I think is still very effective, and I share with my agents to do the same thing now, the buyer's agents on my team. So many people today in real estate, we lose our focus. We end up having 3 or 4 different opportunities that we have, and we may forget to do what we promise. So if we remain focused and we set our rules for ourselves before we're going in, we're going to have a much higher level of success. So today, if I were going to go out and do an open house, I would have known my market before I ever entered the door there. So I would have gone out and previewed the other homes that are most comparable to that the buyer may likely buy if they weren't going to buy that listing. That way, if I look like I'm 15 years old or 22 years old, a young newbie in the business, and somebody comes up to me and they want to pat me on the shoulder as if I'm just as cute as their young daughter, what they'll realize is, wait, she knows what she's talking about.
Right.
So I arrived at the house, I knew my inventory. That way, when I entered into conversations, they were worried less about how young I was, but more about the information I was able to share. From that information, I also had printed spreadsheets of it and printed MLS, or back then it was a book, but today I would go out with a spreadsheet that would talk about the statistics of my neighborhood, and then I'd also have printouts of all the other homes. I wouldn't have several packets of it, but at least one, because I want to have a reason to follow up with these people. So I would have one packet that I'd have for reference that I could explain the information to people, be able to show it to them, information about other houses if that's what they wanted. And then from there, I could follow up with them to schedule appointments, to send them the information, etc. When people would come into a house and they would say, boy, if I was working other agents' homes, they would say, I really like it, but I'm in this price range, or I need this or that. I would offer to follow up with them. And back then, I used to go back to the office. I scheduled a time block right after the open house, went to the office, and I had a 2-hour time block that I would go ahead and pull the information that I promised to everybody at the open. So you came in, I didn't really have the information that you were interested in, because you came into my $200,000 listing, and back then you wanted a $100,000 listing. That was your max. So I may not have had that information at my fingertips, but I asked you if I could drop it off for you later on that afternoon. Remember, we didn't have the internet. I couldn't just print it to a PDF or send you links. So I would go back and I would print it using a dot matrix printer and put it in a file with a map, and I would deliver it to their doorstep with a label. So if they were there, I'd hand deliver it, ask when I could set up appointments to show them to them. If they weren't there, it was under their doormat, and I called them the next day to make sure they had it. So although we no longer need to go back and use our dot matrix printer or hand deliver, it's the same concept.
Yeah.
If you promise somebody that you're going to get back with them, don't schedule anything right after that open house. Get back to your office, get the information that you promised, and follow up. And I think those basic principles can gain anybody a career in real estate and a career where they make a great living.
Yeah, no, look, I think that is so great. I think that notion of, and when you were first saying, oh, I would go back to the office and follow up, I was thinking in my mind, Lysi, I was like, oh, that's a little bit too quick. But when you finished, I was thinking, you know what, that's such a great strategy, because there's two things that I want to comment on. Number one, great strategy, following up the same day, because if they're at your open house Saturday, they probably, went to a few others. So,
and how many other people said they were going to follow up
right.
and never did?
That's right.
Do what you say you're going to do.
And you're on top of it because you do it that day. The other thing that I liked about what you said, you created the spreadsheet and you created one packet, right? You didn't create a bunch that say, oh, here you go, take it. You kind of built in a reason for you to follow up. So I think that's
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Now, can I run something by you and I'll get your thoughts on it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So in terms of open houses, this is what I tell people to do in terms of choosing the open house, and it's this. So number one, get on your MLS and look for a house that is obviously recent, hasn't been on the market, a month, but so something, in the last listed in the last week, number one. Number two, look for something that you think is a great deal in your farm or in your market, right? Something that is going to sell really, really quickly. And that is the house in terms of choosing an open house. That's the house that you should hold open because it's priced right. It's all the right stuff. And then you can go out and door knock the neighborhood and say, hey, listen, I'm holding this open, for 4 hours on Saturday or whatever, and then do that. What's your thoughts on that?
I fully agree. All of that works beautifully. So the model I just explained to you is really what I did as an agent starting out, and knowing your inventory, knowing everything about it is something that's very important for me with my team. What we do now is a different level of open houses. Having a large team, I'm able to do what we call an open house tour. So we actually still use those open houses as a huge part of our business building, and we do a minimum of 6 open houses every Sunday.
Wow.
When I say every Sunday, we do skip holidays, so it ends up being about 44 Sundays a year. We don't do Christmas, we don't do Mother's Day, but we have a very large event that it would be hard for an individual agent to go out and do, but if you had a marketing director on your team, I actually borrowed the idea or was given the idea from another Keller Williams agent. Keller Williams has an agent-shared website called Agent Mountain. And when I came over to Keller Williams, we knew we had a really strong market share in a certain area. And I learned of an agent, her name is Sharon Ketko, and she had done this open house tour. So we literally took the system and model. She had described it on a radio show or on a radio program similar to this and had explained so other people would have the resources to try that model, and we did that. So it's a pretty big undertaking. It would be hard for a single agent. So we do a lot of what you just explained with the door knocking because the marketing manager, graphic designer can help create some of the marketing pieces. We'll door knock. And it's pretty unbelievable the amount of people we have through our open houses now. Well,
no. So can you do you feel comfortable explaining what that tour?
Sure.
Yeah. Tell us what that looks like.
Okay. So again, every Sunday, 44 Sundays a year, from 1 to 4, we have an open house tour. So it's in our area, we have an annual event called a Parade of Homes that all the builders put on. I'll describe it almost as being a mini parade of homes because it's so systemized, so organized, and it happens like clockwork every week. So it's our marketing tool to sell our listings. It also is a great marketing tool for buyers agents to meet buyers. But we actually sell a lot of our listings. So for top agents who are out there and are looking to actually not just pick up buyers to go elsewhere, this actually has been proven week after week to be effective. It starts with every Wednesday we go ahead and we put a sign writer on each of our signs. So again, it's a minimum of 6 open houses. They've all been planned in advance. Wednesday the sign writer goes up to tell the neighbors that that home will be open on Sunday from 1 to 4. On Friday, an e-blast goes out. We have an organic mailing list that people who have visited our past open houses or gone on our website can sign up for. And that it's literally, do you want to get an email every Friday that tells you what homes are open the following Sunday? I have realtors who are on it. I have looky-loos, and then active buyers, buyers, sisters, moms, anything. And being organic, it grows and it shrinks. We do not chase people. If they sign off, and that's okay. So if somebody buys a house and they've signed on, they've come to our open house tour for 2 months, they've bought a house and they've signed off, that's okay. From that e-blast. We get people who aren't reading our local newspaper but want to know what's going on, and it's more of our younger tech-savvy buyer. So every Friday, like clockwork, we don't miss it, that invitation goes out. In the invitation, there's a link to each of the houses. They can link through to the virtual tour, have directions, bullet points, everything that they need to know. Then on Saturday, our local newspaper comes out, and it's the Idaho Statesman, so I should say our state newspaper. And we have Keller Williams has a real estate section in the Saturday paper, and on the back cover each week is our open house tour, so people know to look for it. And so the minimum of 6 houses is posted on that on Saturday, and then on Sunday the houses are open. The marketing director, graphic designer, has a tour sheet, so it's really consistent. The tour sheet shows each house that's on tour for that day, a map to it, and the bullet pointed information. So if somebody comes to one home and it's not the right house to them, the host or the agent hosting that open house can send them to another. What the open house tour does is create a large sense of urgency. So when you talked about that well-priced house, that new listing, the one that everybody wants to see, we will often have our new listings on open house tour on a Sunday, and they'll go in MLS on a Monday. So there's a very large following of people who are waiting for that email, waiting for that ad in the paper, so they can go ahead and see what the new listings will be. And as they come through, on some of them we'll have 30 groups through. If it's a high-end listing that's on a historic street that everybody visits, we'll have 150 groups come through. Wow. And we average the groups are probably about 2 people. So some are really crowded. It's tough to connect with people. Every once in a while, if there's bad weather, a snow or sleeting day, we might have 3 or 5 groups through. So you can't guarantee what will happen, but we have an incredible turnout in most cases. So it's been a huge effective tool for selling our clients' homes. When you have that many people in the home and there's a sense of urgency, the buyers who may have interest feel they've got a right on that house because that home's not going to stick around. There's too many people in that house who are interested. So it really does sell our listings. And B, the buyers specialists they're able to be in front of people, a lot of people, every weekend, and able to network and find ways to assist those buyers.
Wow, that was an unbelievable explanation. Thank you so much, Lysi, for sharing that. While you were doing that, I got on your site, and I think everybody should go check out Lysi's site. It's lysibishop.com, Lysi. You have a beautiful website. You take gorgeous pictures of all your listings, and you have a ton of them. I almost feel like moving to Boise. Gosh, coming from San Diego, you can get a lot for $1 million. So
you sure can.
Obviously, that model, open house, just your open house model, is much, much different from the old dot matrix printer days. Now, what are some of the other things that has sort of evolved in your business? I mean, again, you were very offline 20 years ago when you started. How online, or what are some of the online things that you do?
So you're looking at our website. That website was just completed, so we're still in the design phase. There's still some things that are not that have not been entered on it. But in terms of our marketing efforts, is that what we're talking about to start with?
Yeah.
Okay. So our marketing efforts, I am heavily into print. So I'm so old school compared to who you're going to talk to, agents who are newer in the industry. I still believe in the open houses. I believe in feet on the ground, eye contact, getting to talk to people voice to voice.
Yeah.
So that's huge in what we do. So in addition to that, print advertising is huge for us. I credit a lot of my success to print advertising. Truly, my success is from the level of service we provide and the hard work, but I was promoted by print advertising. And so I know we hear often that print is dead, it doesn't work. I'm just amazed by how many people I run into who, if you walk into a coffee shop on a Saturday, everybody's got that real estate review open. When I run into people, they ask me about my ad. Tell me about this house. My sister's coming in town. My friend this, my neighbor.
Right.
Our print advertising sells houses here. So although that may be a little bit antiquated, it is highly, highly effective.
I agree. Print works. I 100% agree with you. And the other thing that works is radio. Radio is craziness.
I hear that from you. It sounds like it's pretty extraordinary.
It is. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I haven't. Okay.
So print. So you believe in print. You're still very, very, get your word out. Belly to belly, that sort of a thing. how in your funnel, how do you get? I know that the open house is a great way for you for people to get into your funnel. What are some of the other things that you do to get people to give you their email address and get on that mailing list?
So at the open house tour, we actually ask them for their email address. So we want to know if they're interested in buying, just direct questions that as newer agents sometimes we're afraid to ask. I want to know if people come through there, are you interested in buying? What can we do to help you? And if we can help them, we certainly want to do so. With regard to other resources, as you jumped into the website, in today's day and age, you still get an awful lot of hits that come through just the organic website. We aren't signed up for, I heard on your radio show a lot about Boomtown. We don't really do any of the paid lead sources. We've tried some of the Zillows or Realtor.coms over the years, but that has not been our model. Our model has really been feet on the street.
Got it. Just for kicks, I Googled Boise, Idaho real estate. So I'm going to go through here. I'm going to see how far down you are. Look, so you have you're very, you've said earlier that you're very servant-hearted. So I'm sure that you've created a great culture for your team. How do you go about, number one, building that culture, and two, how do you recruit people to be on your team?
Yes, you're correct. Servant culture is definitely our culture, and it is the numbers are not as much of a motivator for us. And so as we have I'm going to backtrack a little bit. We've gone through a lot of growth, which means we've had some people who have worked out and had some people who have not worked out. Right now, our 2015, we are actively looking forward to growth and recruiting. And Scott, who runs the team, that is his active role right now. So we are, through outreach, Scott is contacting agents that we have worked with. It's advertised, whether it be on the website or LinkedIn. We are actively seeking to get those interviews to find people who are like-minded and who are fit for our culture. But it's definitely not for everybody. We're a very hard-working, hard-driven team, and so part of our growth, what we've learned is when people weren't the right culture or weren't the right fit, our culture didn't fit for them, we need to be slower to hire and faster to weed out when it's not the right fit. And I'm getting a little lost on my words there. But
it's hire slow, fire fast,
Yeah, because we've had some great people, but some have not been the right fit. And right now where we are, we have 4 buyer specialists, and they are definitely very, very service oriented, and it's the right fit for them. When we've had people who are more of the numbers game and just wanting to get them signed up on auto updates and just whether it's cold calling, none of that has been quite the fit. When we find the service oriented people who are interested in growing with us, our open house tour, getting in front of people, has been how we have grown, and people who fit that model have grown with us.
Yeah, and look, and I'll help you right now. So if anybody out there listening is in Boise, Idaho, and wants to join a great team, reach out to Lysi. And Lysi, we'll let you do that in the end, tell people where they can reach you. By the way, Lysi, so while you were explaining that, you are on page 9 with Boise, Idaho Real Estate. You're on page 9 of Google, so
I'm way down there.
We got to figure out how to get you up more. I'll tell you something that one thing in terms of getting people in your funnel that I've seen work for other people, and this is something that real estate agents are not doing, and this is like 1 out of 500 people are doing this. If you go to, and I'll tell you, so if you go to my site, which I think you have, one of the things that I do, like early on, I give you a book. I say, hey, get my free book. And listen, it's a 52-page book that I wrote that I think is pretty good. But I go, hey, give me your email address. I'll give you the book. I have found out of 3,000 websites, real estate websites, I found probably 2 or 3 people offering a book, offering 10 tips to getting the most money and sell your house in 60 days, or things you should know about whatever. Some people have that digital asset to give it away, but it's buried underneath it, under a tab or something. So I think that if you have, if you're driving people to your website, giving away that digital asset or book, right up front is really helpful. And that's for you, Lysi, and that's for everybody in the audience. So So you're not doing the recruiting. Your husband, right? It's your husband that works with you.
You are correct.
What is that like, Lysi? Come on. I mean, you wake up in the morning, you see this guy's, ugly mug, and then you go to work and you see him again, and you have to eat dinner with him. How difficult is that for you?
Well, it actually works really well.
Really?
We're empty nesters right now. As I mentioned, both the kids are at University of San Diego, and for some reason we work together well. We have very similar core values, but our personalities are very different. We'll get into a little bit of bumping and bruising when we're growing, and he wants to grow faster, and I'm wanting to slow things down. But we actually work together well as a team, and just being able to divide our roles. We don't sit in the same physical office, and we don't work on the same tasks. So when I say physical office, we're in the same large office space, but I have a door. There's a door that separates us.
Got it.
And interestingly, I think it's a lot easier in the real estate world when you work a lot of hours to have a common goal. And for both of us, this team and this business is our common goal. So it actually works beautifully.
Yeah, no, but do you ever find yourself, you go, hey, what's your husband's name? Scott. So, hey, Scott, let's go out to dinner, or let's go out to lunch, and and you go out to lunch, and, you sit down and you order your drink, and then you go, hey, what about, 123 Main Street? You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be a challenge to not talk about your business all the time, and instead say, hey, Lysi, how is your day today? How do you find that? In terms of,
you're correct. We live and breathe business. we both love what we do, and I talk a lot about business in general anyway. So it works well, and we do. We've got 2 kids in common, and we have different hobbies that we also enjoy discussing. He's an avid cyclist, so he's a little bit better at balance, and we'll take some time off and ride some pretty crazy places. So we find time to balance with it, but we do talk a lot about business. So I guess we're fortunate that we love it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we covered recruiting, we covered some marketing stuff. Now, print works for you. Are you like all print? I mean, so nothing online, like no Facebook ads. I know you don't do Zillow or Trulia. Is it all print? Is that all your marketing stuff?
It is. It's print and still old-fashioned way, flyers, but it is absolutely heavy print. So the website, I think, is pretty effective. That will direct people there. Mm-hmm. But from our signage, we've got market share in our area. We're very big producers here. I know we are quite low on Google. I don't know how we've made the difference, but we've been fortunate enough that our phones ring nonstop. So we have people calling in, multiple listing appointments a day, calling in asking us to list. And what they're basing it off of, or how they're finding us, how the buyers are finding us, is off of starting with print advertising. As we say, that newspaper goes out. Signage. On every single sign, you'll see a flyer holder. It's got a 2-sided color flyer with that same beautiful photography. Those open house tours, we're meeting people out in the street, and as you pass a sign, you're going to go ahead and find that property, whether you Google the address or you Google my name. Having a name like Lysi has pros and cons. People have a hard time pronouncing it, but they often remember it.
Right.
So they're able to go ahead and Google it, get to that site, and we have just crazy amounts of hits. I'll have an interesting, mid-century modern architecture is so big right now. So we'll have a great mid-century modern, and boy, on our tour factory, there were 80,000 hits in 2 weeks on a mid-century modern on a historic street. So
that's craziness.
Our exposure of getting things out there on Facebook, it does end up going viral through a lot of our sending out our open house tours, posting something on Facebook. But I think a lot of it is actually generated from local Boiseans seeing the signs and finding the website that way. So we are not going to be quite the contraption, the lead generator to be bringing in all those relocating buyers that are just searching the area. It's more property specific.
Got it. That's amazing. That's an amazing number of hits, because, the other thing too, so I Googled you, I said Lysi Bishop, real estate Zillow, and, you only have 4 reviews on there.
I know.
It's amazing that
I don't go after any of this.
I know, but that's the thing. You're this successful in spite of not doing all this other stuff. I mean, I have to imagine if you did turn on the marketing machine that that is typical, what would happen?
Our coach shakes his head at us. He said that, my coach we have a MAPS coach, he said, I don't know of any other agent out there that isn't lead generating. We don't close our doors and lead generate. We will, as I mentioned, we're on a growth mode. So for 2015, we're moving into growth. But we have more of marketing, follow-up, and service-oriented. We're like an old-fashioned boutique, and people who are in our web, people who are finding us, who are our repeat and referral clients, we treat very well, and we have a very strong repeat and referral basis. So it really is the old-fashioned way.
No, that's right. Well, it is, but it's not. So and let me rephrase that this way. So you're doing all the right stuff with asking for referrals, right? Engaging with your past clients. And so you'll ask for a referral, but you're not saying, hey, could you please go give me a Zillow review, right? I mean, and I do think, and I know 2015 is your year of growth. So I would be really, really interested in what happens when you have 100, Zillow reviews.
It will be interesting, won't it? So yes, we haven't gone out and done any of those items, and it'll be interesting to see what happens as Scott has a lot of plans in motion for next year and seeing how that changes things.
So Lysi, for you, you're to me, I get the sense of again, you have this servant heart, you really care about people, but you are in this growth mode now. What is next for you? And hold on. Before you answer what's next, you've been at this 20 years, and probably this past client, sphere of influence. You could live a great life and have a great business and not do anything anymore. Why? What is it about your personality that you want to take it to the next level?
Well, that's a struggle right there. That's a little bit of a double-edged sword. I love what I do, and I love the one-on-one relationships, and I've learned that I love growing people also. So having a team and working with people and watching them learn and perform at the level we do has been very rewarding. I didn't know it would be. But I really struggle with that growth because I'm not a numbers person, meaning I don't look at it and say I want to have 100 more buyers this year. I want to contact 200 people so that I can have 7 more transactions. That doesn't make me tick. The service and knowing that I've made a difference in people's lives and knowing that I've performed at a higher level than the next is really what makes us tick. So okay. I do struggle with growth. So growth is, Scott is definitely heading that up, and he is much, the numbers and the growth are more exciting for him. Growth happened to me almost by accident because I was so driven, and when it came to Keller Williams, I actually came because I was working so much. I was down to probably 1 to 4 hours of sleep a night, and I wasn't going to leave the office until I got my work done and was able to be prepared for the next day. And so I had the recruiter for Keller Williams was able to say, you need to figure out leverage. You need to figure out growth. And I shouldn't say growth. She just said leverage so you can get a life, so you can spend some time with your husband that you adore and your children that you adore. So the reason for growing this team and heading into growth mode was actually not to grow numbers, but was to give me more time.
Okay.
But we've grown. The numbers just keep growing.
Right. Absolutely. So 1 to 4 hours. That is. It's so. I was going to ask. I almost stopped you because I was going to ask you about where what boundaries you have today. But you got there. You had no boundaries, Lysi. 1 to 4 hours of sleep.
Yep.
What kind of boundaries have you put in place today for your clients to live more of a balanced life?
So we're moving more into that next year as well. So you said, where are you going? Yeah. Our growth plan for us is to be able to replace me as the lead listing agent at some point, to have me into mentoring and guiding incredible agents to give the same level of service that we are known for. And when you say, what have you done? How have you set up these boundaries? Well, I didn't have boundaries, and I helped the buyers. I helped the sellers. I did everything. It was me and essentially 2 assistants. One was a showing agent, and one was truly an administrative assistant. That's where I was before joining Keller, and that was in 2010. So moving up to this point, what I have learned to do was learning with that leverage is I have turned over my buyers to my buyer specialists. They're incredible. They do an amazing job. We've worked hard to train as a team, learn as a team, grow as a team. So we run under the same principles, guidelines. We want to treat people in the same manner. Again, high level of service is far more important to us than numbers. So at this point, I've been able to, I used to not say no to that buyer who wanted to look at a house at whatever point in time, even no matter how over-leveraged I was. So at this point, we're able to not say no because I'm not very good at that, but instead say, let me go ahead and introduce you to one of my buyer specialists. And I know they're amazing. I know they're in great hands, and I'm still there to help as needed. Then this year, we were able to make the same transition with the listing department. So I wasn't ready to give up my listing clients. And it was, about 7 months ago. And again, with a plan for growth, our coach and Scott said, all right, we need to get you more time, Lysi. This is what we're going to do. And Scott found an amazing listing specialist who's been with me probably for 7 or 8 months. And basically we're now splitting geographically the listings. So I'm just learning through that leverage to be able to set those boundaries, to be able to have some more time for myself. And for me, it was easier to set goals as in, I'm going to take a vacation, I'm going to leave and go to Europe and be gone for 2 weeks, and the team will take care of itself. And unbelievably, with the systems we have in place,
it happened.
Well, unbelievable to me, it works.
Yeah.
And I can leave, and nothing misses a beat.
So did you live like this, being over or under leveraged for like 18 years? I mean,
yeah, I did.
Wow.
Even in my retail background, it was me. I'm wired to go, go, go. I have a very, very driven, very fast metabolism, lots of energy. So I've always been like that. And Scott has learned to give up, to say she'll never. I don't think I'd ever work a 40-hour week. I do love what I do. That's the hard part. Is you can listen to different models, and some people say, why would you ever want to do that work when you can pay somebody else to do it? I do love what I do. And so it's been hard to give up those portions of it. And it really took finding the right people, training the right people, and trusting the right people, meaning my team members, to be able to step away from each of those tasks.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have just such a passion for what you do because you, in a lot of ways, I never, I have some doctor friends, right? And they're always, we go out and they're like, oh, I can't have a drink because I could get called in, right? You were always on call. I personally do not understand it. I love to check out. I'm done. It's over. And I'll tell you, I start really early. My day starts at like 4:35. But when 3:30 rolls around, I'm done. And a lot of times I will not take a business call after 4 p.m. So
very smart. You did a much better job than I did of setting boundaries.
Yeah. So anyhow. Hey, Lysi, this has been great. We're going to start wrapping up here. I'm going to finish. Let me ask you this question. And I don't ask this to everybody, but I just want to make sure I get everything out of you. I know you're very heavy print. You gave us that great open house strategy. And if you don't have an answer, it's okay. I don't want to put you on the hot seat at all. So I'll let you. So if you don't have an answer, I'm just, because you're uncomfortable with this, I'm just letting you know that you can get out of it. Okay. Here's what is something I didn't ask you, Lysi, that I probably should have talked to you about.
Let's see. How can I help people with things? Let me think of that for a minute. I think one of the things that I have been able to help people with is I'm that old school that thinks I have to do everything myself. And if there's anything that I can teach people who are listening, who are high producers, who still think there are not people out there that can do things better than them, that would have been a direction if you said, boy, Lysi, what can you do or how can you make a difference? I have learned so much over the last 4 years that leverage is a good thing, and there are people who are better than me at every segment of this business, even though I certainly never believed that in 2010.
Got it. Yep. Yeah. Well, and let it go. Let it go. And that right there. That thing is so hard for most people because look, when you get into real estate, you're an entrepreneur, and there's always this belief of I care about it more. I'm gonna I'm better at it, and I think it's very hard to let it go, even if somebody is only 80% as good at it as you. Let it go. So that's a great tip.
Or if it's their specialty and that's all they're doing, they're going to be better than you because it's all they're doing and they're specializing in it.
Yeah. So on that really quickly, so is your business very siloed, meaning that, buyer's agents do buyers, listing agents do listings, the ISA, all they do is call. Are you very siloed in that regard?
Yes.
Got it. That's the model. That is the model, man. And I think many people out there who want to get to where you're at, Lysi, don't understand that. They believe, oh, I'm just going to put head count under a roof and I have a 20-person team. No, that's not a team. You have an office. You have a team where everybody's siloed. You're a buyer's agent. You're a listing agent. You're my ISA. You're my transaction coordinator, whatever it is. So here's my last 2 questions for you. Number 1, I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy today? And I'm going to just really, before you answer, because you're a KW person, you can't say millionaire real estate agent. Everybody says that. You can't say shift. You can't say the one thing. So what should people go buy?
I have a really easy answer. My personality will let you know that. I think The Go-Giver is the very best book for any salesperson.
Yeah, Bob Burg, right? Bob Burg.
You got it.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that we have all of our agents start with. It's our core philosophy, and if they come from a place of giving, they're going to go much further.
I'm going to reach out. I'm going to get that guy in the show, because if people don't know who Bob Burg and The Go-Giver, it's all about giving. And listen, everybody in the audience, if you haven't read this book, you should go get it, and I'll give you a free copy. You can get it using our link, audibletrial.com/superagentslive. Now, my last question for you, Lysi, is this. Do you feel that you have any personal habits that have contributed to your success?
Yes, but I don't think anyone should follow.
What is it?
No, just meaning very highly driven. I can tell you that just for me, it's been a matter of finishing what I start. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm just very disciplined. So if I'm in by whatever time it may be that I'm going to start, and if I have an agenda of what I'm going to finish, I stay there until I've completed it. So not so much a habit of exercise or of diet, but making sure that I have that follow-up has been a huge part of my success. But again, maybe not the healthiest when it comes down to sleeping 1 to 4 hours a night.
Right. but it'll get you where you want to go. Listen, Lysi, I'll tell you, I've enjoyed our time together. I think you're a super nice person. I think that if I was in Boise, I would love to have lunch with you, and I'm sure that, your authenticity and your genuineness came off to everybody. So if anybody's out there is in Boise, Idaho, and they want to join an awesome team, you can find Lysi and Lysi, tell people where they can reach out and find you, and or if nothing else, just say hi and thank you.
All righty. Well, our website is youfoundlysibishop.com. I can be emailed at lysi@lysibishop.com, or our phone number is 208-870-8292. And thank you, Toby. I enjoyed the call.
Thank you so much. And hey, let's stay in touch. Let's talk about radio. Once put me in touch with Scott, and we'll see what we can do in terms of kicking in business off a little bit harder.
We will do.
All right. Thanks, Lysi. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Today on the show, I didn't get a chance to listen to this one, but I do remember this recording. I did it a few months ago, but I do remember this recording. And I'll tell you, here's my recollection of it. I think it takes us a while to warm up. Today's guest is in Idaho, and she's killing it. She's doing she's got a team of 20, 92 million, 300 deals or so. She's kind of a shy lady. She didn't really want to come on and be on the show, but I told her, hey, look, you got to share. And from my recollection, again, I didn't listen to the whole show for the show notes. We rely on Lou Weiss for that. But we get into a pretty good open house strategy. And, whether or whether you're doing open houses or not, I will tell you that they're working, and people are not using them to find a buyer for the house. That's not what they're for. What they're doing is they're holding open houses, letting the neighbors know, hey, listen, we just listed the house on the corner. We want you to help choose your new neighbors. Come on down, check out the open house. But what happens is when you door knock the neighborhood and send out a flyer telling people that the house is going to be open, those people go, man, this kid has hustle. And look, when I say kid, you could be a 50-year-old guy. This lady, this has hustle. And people are finding listings from open houses. So, and again, I think it takes us a while to warm up to get there. So if it's a little bit slow, just stick with me. All right, guys. Hey, let's get to it.